Okay, so today I wanted to talk about visiting your family members on the holidays, Christmas. Okay, so I remember a few years ago I was, heavier than I am now, and I was going to Christmas dinner. I was out of town, I think, for Thanksgiving, so I remember thinking, okay, I want to get in shape because I want my family members to see me in much better shape than I am now. I've got a couple of family members that are in really, really great shape, and I was sort of comparing myself to them, and sometimes I think it's very easy to compare yourself to other people just because we're sort of inhabiting this body and we're looking around, comparing our experience to everybody else around us, and sometimes that leads to us maybe not feeling like we're good enough or like we're at a place where we're as good as they are, and we even do this with family members. So I would just say try not to compare yourself to other people. Comparison is the thief of joy, and that's one of my favorite quotes, and it rings true, and it's very good to remind yourself of that when you're trying to improve yourself, because really the comparison you should make is the comparison of who you were a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago or a couple years ago. Like, look at yourself and look how far you have come. Okay, try not to compare yourself to other people, because everybody has their own experience and their own journey and their own unique set of circumstances that are infinite, to leading up to the type of person that they are now and who they are right now. There's so many battles that they've faced, that we know nothing about. There's so many obstacles that they've had to overcome, and there's so many trials and tribulations that they're going to have to deal with at some point in their lives, including your family members. So, try not to compare yourself to anybody at the Christmas dinner table, okay? Just because you may not necessarily be where you want to be at this point, and you think they're at the point where you want to be, doesn't necessarily mean that you need to feel bad about yourself. It just means that you need to stay the course, essentially. And it shouldn't be your concern of what they're doing with their lives and where they're at, because they probably had to work really, really hard, or they're about to work really, really hard. And I think when you approach things with that sort of lens, then you have a lot more empathy for the people around you, and you ultimately have a little bit more empathy for yourself, and that helps you be a little bit more kind and a little bit more gentle to yourself. And you don't necessarily need to be so hard on yourself, and you don't have to get down on yourself because you're not at a particular place, or you don't look a certain way, or you don't have as much money in your bank account. All of this shouldn't concern you, okay? If you focus on yourself and you focus on your journey and your self-development and your path and doing your best and trying to do better and trying to be a better person and trying to learn more and grow more, then you're going to feel a lot better just being okay with pursuing those things on your own terms and on your own time and on your own timeline. And then you won't necessarily need to constantly be checking around in your environment to see if you're good enough, or that you're up to snuff, or that you're at a certain level, or at a certain place in your life that you should supposedly be at. I think a lot of times when adults hit their 30s, that's when they really start evaluating their position in life, and they start thinking, oh, I should be at this point in my life, or I should be married with kids, or I should have this much money saved, or I should have this much money put aside, or I should have this much money in my bank account, or I should have a house this size, or I should have this much equity in my house or in my business. And it's all nonsense, because everybody's going through their own difficult times, and their own times where they're maintaining, and their own times where they're learning and progressing, and transcending at an exponential rate and having these breakthroughs. And sometimes you regress, and then sometimes you progress a lot, and sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and then 2 steps forward again, and then maybe 3 steps back. But as long as you're paying attention to how you're feeling when you are on your path and you are getting up every single day and trying to do better and trying to be a better version of yourself, then you're going to experience what it's like to have happiness in the pursuit of things in your life. And that's when you're gonna find that it's gonna be a lot easier to not compare yourself to everybody. I know in the gym, there's definitely times where I walk into the gym and I see guys that are, much more developed or bigger or leaner or better looking, and it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, they're on their journey. They've had their million circumstances, and I'm on my particular journey, and I've had my millions of circumstances that have led me here and led me to where I am. And I'm content in knowing that I'm doing the best I can. Every day I wake up and I try to be better and I try to do better. And I try to cultivate a better self, which is me, not somebody else. And I'm not going to compare myself to all the people around me who may have dealt with extreme hardships in their life, And I'm grateful for the fact that I've dealt with times of great joy and great sorrow, and there's been times where I've dealt with extreme hardships on my own and I've persevered because of it. Okay, so this is in the context of comparing yourself to your family members at Christmas time, but really just know that you never need to compare yourself to anybody else, because everybody's unique. No one's the same. There is no one set way to do things. There is no one set timeline in which people should be at a certain point, whether in their physical nature or in their their physiology or their physique or their bank account or their love life or their position in life, their position at work. It makes no difference. Okay, it's just, are you waking up every single day? Are you trying to be a better version of yourself? If you are, cool, that's great. And that's also how you cultivate contentment and excitement in your life. Okay, so don't compare yourself to anybody else, because that's a great way to not be happy. All right, thanks guys. Until next time.